I would like for us to just think about choices like walking through, think of making a choice like walking through a door. Generally, doors lead somewhere, right? When you open a door, it's because you want to go where that door leads. So if you're trying to get to your bedroom, you won't be going to the garage. You won't be opening the garage door unless your bedroom is in the garage, right? So you would be looking for your bedroom door. So we go through doors because we want to get somewhere. If we look at our choices like that, then every choice we make leads us somewhere. And the question becomes, are we making choices that lead us to our desired destinations? If we think about our choices as significant, then we will be more intentional about the choices that we make when we're faced with some of these choices that are laid out here, or even others. Like, I haven't captured everything. These are just some of the choices that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But whenever we face choices, recognizing that they are significant and that they are leading us somewhere. So just picturing those doors, where is this choice going to take me, is very important and will be helpful in guiding you as you make decisions. Knowing what we value is important because it helps us when we have to make decisions. If you decide in advance who you want to be, if you decide in advance the kind of person that you are going to be, then you can make your decisions in the moment with less, you can make them a lot quicker, and they won't be as difficult for you to make. To be people of character, to be known as people of good character, we need to walk it out. We'll be faced with situations. Daisy, you spoke, in this just the scenario we just shared showed us that, these scenarios, yes, we know what's right, but it's not always, there will always be, or there could be temptation to not do the right thing. But people of character walk their talk. It's not about just knowing what the right thing is, because knowledge is wasted unless you're applying it. Same way you've heard the phrase, talk is cheap, right? We can say all we want. We can stand and shout from the rooftops that we are people with good morals and of integrity, but how we behave is the real indicator of our character, because the outside reveals what's on the inside. When you have the inside right, the outside gets right as well. And if the outside is not right, then there's something missing on the inside that should be examined. How many of you have been to a construction site or walked by one, right? You'll notice that there's a huge mess. I don't know about you, but when I look at a construction site, it's hard for me to imagine that a lovely structure will emerge from all of that mess, but it does. And it's the same way with us. Some days we are all like bent out of shape, loose screws, and we need an adjustment. It happens to all of us because nobody's perfect. I'll share with you a story. I know that, I'm talking about character, but there are times when I've made choices that I've not been proud of. And a few years ago, I was part of an organization that I was really committed to. I contributed a lot to the organization, and I felt like I brought value to it. After a while, I didn't feel like my value was recognized or appreciated, and it started to build up some resentment within me. I eventually made the decision to leave the organization, but I didn't just leave the organization. I took my resentment with me. So every time it came up, that organization came up in conversation with people who knew about my association with it, I would share my frustration with them. And it wasn't in a complimentary way. So after it happened, the first time, the second time, the third time, I realized, stop. Something is off. Because every time I shared my frustration and every time I spoke about them in a way that was less than complimentary, it it kept the resentment in me, and it just didn't sit right. Like I would be doing it, and I'd know that you shouldn't be saying that. You shouldn't be speaking about them in that way. It's not right, because that's not who I want to be. I want to demonstrate that I value people regardless of, and I can't remember who said it earlier, but I think it was Dejay, regardless of how people react or how they act, I want to be a certain way. So I want to value people, even if they act in a way that I don't like. And I didn't show up that way at that time. But as soon as I recognized it, I was able to pull back on it and say, nope, that's not who I want to be. And I have to stop it. And I did. If anything that I've said to this point has kind of struck a chord with you and you're thinking, well, how do I develop my character? Well, here are some tips, right? What some of the things that you can do. The first one is to have a vision of who you want to be. And if you recall, we started off this call with just sharing one word, right? That we want, that describes how we want to be remembered and why that word is important to us. So take that word, but think about other words and use those, because that word, the word that you used at the beginning, is one part of the vision that you have for yourself. Consider what other words resonate with you. How else would you like to be remembered? And put that down somewhere, and look at it daily, and then ask yourself the question, do my choices reflect or are my choices leading me towards that description? Know your core values. We did that $1 million exercise, and it showed a bit about what you value at this time. Dejay said, well, yes, it's reflective of my age. I agree with you. But, it's also, like I said, values can shift from season to season. So don't discount what you value right now. I encourage you to sit down and do the exercise. Think about it. What would I do? What's important to me? What would I do with $1 million? And what does that say about what's important to me? And if what you've written down isn't something that you necessarily think is important with you, if you look at it and you go like, oh, that doesn't really sound right, then ask yourself, well, what's really important to me? And put that down. Know what's important to you. Drill down to it. You can have a dozen values, but usually there are some key ones that drive your decisions. So try to identify, 3 to 5 that drive your decisions. Practice making choices that align with your vision and your values. Reflect on your successes, right? The times when you acted in a way that aligned with your vision and your values. Reflect on those and see how you can repeat them. And then when you make mistakes, like you will, like we all do, we all make mistakes. When you make a mistake, then reflect on your mistakes as well and what you can learn from them. And finally, get around people with good character. Character is contagious, right? So if you hang around people with good character, you will catch it. And if you hang around with people with bad character, you will catch it as well. So be very careful who you associate with.